Okay, call this meeting to order, March 13th, 4:17 PM. I'm Lisa Kelly, the Chair of the Kingston Arts Commission. Welcome everyone in attendance. Thank you for joining us. Before we get into all of the agenda, I first want to give a hearty congratulations to Ward Mintz, my chair, for receiving the 2025 Museum Association of New York Award of Distinction. It's recognizing Ward for all of his distinguishing career and leadership. We're so grateful that you have graced us with your presence today.
You're very kind. Thank you. It was quite a surprise for me to learn about this. But it gives me a great opportunity, which is that it's going to be given in Ithaca, which I love because I went to Cornell. So I can go to Ithaca and hang out. So thank you.
There you go. This is our. That's for you. That's for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Do we have approval of minutes? Can we get a motion to approve the minutes?
There's no comment on the minutes, and the spell Lester's name. Now, correct. That's one correct.
All right.
Anyone else?
Can I get a motion to approve minutes?
So moved.
Second? Any questions, discussion? All in favor for approval of the minutes? Okey. Director's update.
Okay, I'm going to move because we have a lot on the agenda. Welcome, everyone. Well, wait a minute. Does everybody know our new commissioners?
Oh,
I don't know, because Sophie was not able to come last time. I know Cesar was here, but Sophie wasn't. So.
But she was online.
So you're.
Only one was missing last time.
Yeah, okay, so.
I'm familiar with your image.
My report, So my report is posted online for everyone and the public. I'm going to scroll down to the City Hall exhibitions. As we all know, the Freedom exhibition is live on the ground floor through November 7th of this year. And Trina Green's bronze Sojourner Truth First Step to Freedom is on display on the first floor of City Hall. The statue will be picked up on August 4th. And I just want to say special thanks to Trina Green for purchasing lighting and stands to better illuminate the statue while it's here, and also engineering for bringing down the big spotlights. So that statue is now well lit. I would like to start discussing with the Kingston Arts Commission, maybe over the next couple of meetings, the semi-quincentennial exhibition, which is USA 250. And we would like for that to open in December and stay on all next year. So just looking at this is just looking at, celebration of who we are in America, all the cultures that we are, all the backgrounds, all food, whatever. And I'm just looking at one world, one love, one voice. And that's not what I think we should entitle it, because it belongs to other songs. But I just am feeling that perhaps we can go in that direction. We must do the call for art as usual in August. So we think that there's a lot of time, but it's really not with everything else that's going on. So I'm going to keep this on one of the burners anyway, towards the front. And keep this as a conversation asking for the Kingston Arts Commission and members' input as we move forward. Now, the ground floor lighting, I'm saving for a special item on the agenda. It is in my report, though. Moving into the Burning of Kingston for this fall, October 16th to 19th. We are almost at the final stages of planning, so I will have the full schedule hopefully by April. So with the Sojourner Truth Walk last month, it was terrible weather. That was the day that it started to snow, and then it went to ice, and then it went to rain, and then it froze. However, we had about 80 for the Sojourner Truth Walk, and then about 150 for the finale at Old Dutch Church as it was snowing. It was a beautiful event, well attended. The first time crossing the Word Street Bridge, and it looked powerful, just looked powerful. So March 29th, we're almost there. All was done by hand is what it's called. And that is the 19th century women's work, weaving, knitting, quilting demos. Was the hard work by Carol Wood and the Woodstock Weavers Association to put this all together. She's been amazing. This will be for the public. This will be at City Hall on Saturday, March 29th from 11 to 4 p.m. It's free. It's open to the public. It highlights the role of textile work in the 19th century and its evolution into modern craft practices, featuring demonstrations of various textile techniques and a fleece shawl showcase, illustrating the transformation of raw wool into woven shawl through carding, spinning, and weaving. Demonstrations are from the Woodstock Weavers, Elmendorf Hand Spinners, Wiltwick Quilters Group, the DCSWGA Rug Hooking Group, Ulster Hand Spinners, and other independent artisans. We have 27 tools. They're taking over the entire building. It'll feature educational materials. We have talking walls that we're going to be on panels. And again, I really commend Carol Wood for putting this all together. She was walking with the maintenance staff the other day and how they're going to just situate everything in the maintenance staff, who's an artist himself. His wife was actually Kit Potter in Venezuela, was very interested. He's actually bringing his family. So again, this is going to be all was done by hand, is, you know, a part of the Sojourner Truth programming. And like, so celebrating Sojourner Truth's legacy, the statue will be here, of course. We will have the Freedom Exhibition, and it will be March 29th, 11 to 4, and moving on. So in April, we have, and this is, I just want to note that because of scheduling conflicts, because this is a special program, I promised Dr. Wheeler at SUNY New Paltz that we were going to put together for youth. May was totally out of the question because a lot of the youth groups and schools have so much going on. Also, the presenters had scheduling conflicts. June is a really busy month for the schools and after youth programs too. So April 10th was the day that we landed. This is the day before spring break. This is also the day of the Kingston Arts Commission meeting. So you all will have to excuse me. I promise to have a good report for you, but we will be quiet in here because we start with a presentation by the YMCA Farm Project, and then we go into IESA, who portrays Sojourner. So we'll be quiet. But then there's going to be some dancing and drumming. But you can still carry on with the meeting. And that special youth program will be April 10th, 4 to 5:30, and it's actually the day before spring break. Friday is the last day, and then the kids go for spring break. So we feel like it's really special. My Kingston kids will be here with photo booths so that, you know, children and families can be photographed in front of the statue. And we're gonna have a good time. Free snacks, everything is free, open to the public. Press release went out yesterday.
So we will have a meeting.
I'm just waiting for the, whatever. You got this too, with this, got everything?
For April 10th.
Pardon me?
So April 10th, we're still having the meeting.
Well, that's,
But
I don't want to stop the Kingston.
So we're the only ones who won't.
I don't want to stop the meeting per se. That would be up to the Kingston Arts Commission, because remember that we take a full break in August. And we got so much on the plate that I don't know that you might want to take a break and join in the festivities, or maybe cut it short.
We didn't take a break last year.
Yeah, you did.
No, I was out of town, but you had a meeting anyway, you sure?
August?
Yeah.
Yeah, we met
That was the deal.
on the 12th.
Yeah.
You did do it? Okay, sorry. That's usually the date that all commissions take a break, but.
We're committed.
That's why everybody's jealous, because this is the most committed commission, I think. Anyway, there is a full schedule of the Music in the Parks events. I'm still tallying, or talking to, I'm still talking to a lot of people who are planning USA 250 events for next year. And I'm excited to say that there's so much love coming through, a lot of organizations, a lot of dance troupes. Just that everybody I talk to has something really exciting. So what I hope to do is just have a full calendar, but be working with Ulster County Tourism to put together a full calendar of events from January of next year all the way to December. And talk about, of course, Kingston is going to be doing, this is what the mayor has me doing, I'm still doing the fireworks and the band and everything like that. It's a major thing, we can't disappoint people, but all the other events, including ours, I think are going to be just make Kingston another reason why people call us the most progressive historic city in the state. And I'm going to go all the way down here to the policy and funding. I'm doing that as a special announcement too, so I'm gonna pull that from my report, but it's here. And then I'm also gonna pull the public art policy up. Just really fast, just wanted to thank last month, Sophie Landers and Lester Burr were appointed by the mayor as the two Kingston Arts Commission members serving, voting members that are serving on the Permanent Public Art Committee. But as Chair Lisa pointed out last week, all KAC members are invited to always attend and lend input, but these are the two members who are voting. You all have the applications for the Public Art Committee. And thank everybody for sending in your rankings on time. We will talk about that during executive session because a lot of names are going to be mentioned. And as you see in this long growing list, the first Public Art Committee meeting has a lot to address. So it'd be great if the KAC, there's some things that need to come on right away. Like for instance, asks one to bring back the biennial sculpture. Sue Cahill, the bunch, everybody's working, all departments are actually involved in that. So I think that, we really need to hear from them right away because this is a big undertaking. And then you see all the other things on the list and growing. So, but outside of those that are like kind of right now issues, it would be nice to have the input from the Kingston Arts Commission as to the front burner matters for the Public Art Committee to take on. Over the next few months. And I will close there. Any questions?
Yeah, I just, on strategy 5, art and local history education roundtable, is that in any way going to connect with the public art committee?
Which one?
This is right here.
Well, that's up for discussion, and under that right now for an review.
Okay, and I had a question on this one, ensuring access to affordable arts cultural programming. When is that?
This is that.
Oh, this is, oh, okay, sorry.
That's okay.
Whatever.
I'm glad you're asking that, because if you're asking with them, other people would know.
Will the Public Art Committee meetings be both open to the public and on Zoom? It's going to be very interesting, the voting process, if that's the case.
Well, we have to talk about that. Because as far as the voting process is concerned, my feelings are that the voting process should be private because it's a lot of pressure on those members. However, the open discussions and the input from the community, to me, it should be. What are your thoughts?
I was thinking about one of the items here,
Mhm.
the proposed donation of a piece that's already in City Hall. And knowing the piece, alas, quite well, I'm thinking it's a difficult issue to be critical of something like this in such a small city when, you're doing this. And on one hand, at Kingston, we're so proud to have local artists who want to be part of our city hall in our city. And on the other hand, a donation is it ends up being for a long time.
And that one is the Arbor Court permanent.
As I said.
So
And we faced this before.
As how the meetings go, this is the Kingston Arts Committee. This is the Kingston Arts Commission's committee. So the way these meetings, the Kingston Arts Commission should be advising on how these meetings are run. And where we go into executive sessions with these, and I agree that the voting, because it is, there's pressure on those who are raising their hands, yes, raising their hands, no, and the public knowing who did what. I have to go back and, ask these questions, but I believe that part of the committee's work should be in executive, in closed session, but then we come back, as we know, first comes to me to vet, before it goes to committee. The committee meets, public can listen, weigh in, give comment. Committee can call, closed session to discuss and vote. Then it goes to the KAC before it goes to the mayor.
Oh,
The committee is doing the work.
Yeah.
Okay, and then it goes to the Kingston Arts Commission with recommendations. However, the full commission may or may not agree with the committee because you know other things, you see it other ways. But the final recommendation to the mayor will come from the Kingston Arts Commission.
So our votes are publicly exposed. Or at least our
Sorry?
discussion is,
The discussion is public.
the voting one is not.
Right.
I don't mind the voting being public. I mean, I expect it of my elected leaders. So I don't mind standing what I believe
Can we-
in. That's me.
Can we table this then, because
Yes.
there's more discussion that
Sure.
needs to happen.
I see a head, behind you. I was curious if you're.
I have another question not related to,
Sorry, I was gonna say one thing that on the committee for the park, we put, we did voting in writing. And that's another way of voting without having to, without the public having to see each person's vote.
my question was about if there is contextualizing information about all of these items. Because when I'm looking at the list and trying to imagine what seems like a strategic list of priorities and next steps, I'd love to come from a more informed position on some of them.
Well, that's why we don't even invite any of these folks to the first couple of meetings, because I have to let you know about all of this. Because these have all come to me.
Okay.
So I would provide the committee, with some
Some background.
baseline information.
Great.
Some concerns I might have,
Right.
or some really, exciting news about this and all the partners that are coming together for this or that. And then, again, we move to, and that's to be determined. This is the inaugural year. This has never been done for the city of Kingston before. So the Kingston Arts Commission did, this committee will determine how we move forward. That's why I'm like anxious to get these meetings going, because we can't even see people yet.
Right.
Just a quick, in those, in the public art meetings, and you said any commissioners allowed to attend also the executive session of it?
I would believe so. It's
Yeah.
commissions, committees.
That's right.
Mhm.
Just wanted to clarify. Because that's very much.
All right, I think we should table it until we get into the old business of it. We need to get into the Ulster County Arts and Culture Plan. Presented by Sarah Paskey, unless are you done now? Kit, is there any other questions?
I did close, and yes,
Yes.
I agree to table because this is the work that the committee has to do with the commission advising on how all of this goes in. So thank you. I will come back to my
So
screen.
Sarah is presenting the plan as it is in its current state and in its final phases.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
And we have our
It's not
opportunity.
yet finished, but it's getting there.
So we are able to give you some of our own insights.
Yes, and so I'm here to sort of share with you where things are now and to write down comments that you might have that I can bring back to the project team because we're putting the final touches on things.
Since we are different generations of the Arts Commission, it would be useful, Sarah, if you would begin by explaining what your role is.
Yes. The Ulster County Arts and Culture Plan was actually the creation of Peter Criswell, who is the chair of the Ulster County Legislature, and he was formerly on the Arts Commission, Kingston Arts Commission, and he was a project advisor on that project advisory committee for the Kingston Arts and Culture Master Plan 2022. So he was so excited by it that he thought that Ulster County should have a similar plan because Ulster County itself, Kingston, all of the surrounding communities are so infused with arts and culture, both historically and now. So he initiated this plan, got funding from the Ulster County Legislature to do this. And about a year ago is when I came on board as the project manager to help facilitate the plan with the Lord Cultural Resources Consulting Team. So I was their on-the-ground person who set up site tours and town hall meetings and a lot of other things, and scheduled interviews for them. And I have to say it was a pretty amazing project because there are so many fabulous things going on in this county. And so I feel very privileged to have been part of that. So there we are. So and you're welcome. And there's been a lot of work already done.
But let me ask Dina Cesar, can you see the screen, the Imagine Ulster?
She can. Okay.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay,
Yes.
good. Okay, so I'm going to go through this very rapidly until we get to the end, because most of you already know what's going on. You've been part of this. For those of you who are new, I just read the executive summary of the state of culture. So you can find that on the Participate Ulster website. For anyone who's watching, the Participate Ulster website has a project that is the Arts and Culture Plan. So people can go there and read. So yes, this is a presentation that was created by Lord Cultural Resources. We want to acknowledge the presence of the people who came before us, wherever we are, so we can keep going through. This is just the agenda. We'll go through that quickly. The process overview, then the economic impact of the arts, the vision and priorities, which is really what I want us to jump to, because that's where we are right now in the plan, is taking in the vision and priorities that actually came out of all of these months of meetings, and then develop some strategies, and then I'll give you next steps. So we move to the introduction includes, I want you to see the people who have worked on this. This is the planning team. It's myself, Joshua Stratton Raynard from the Department of Economic Development, and Peter Criswell from Ulster County Legislature, and then a team of people from Lord Cultural Resources and John Stover and Associates, who do economic development consultants. So moving on, we also have a very robust project advisory committee of people who weighed in at various stages as the project was being developed and the research was being done. And the group met monthly. And while everybody wasn't always able to attend the meetings, they weighed in with their comments. So we've got, this is again a group you'll see looking at where they're from. This is from a broad spectrum of organizations and areas of the county. So we'll move on. Then we got to the point where once the strategies had been identified, and we'll get to that later, these are the task force members that were invited from the community to be part of helping to refine the strategies and lay out action items. So you'll see the people on these task force committees were people who have a certain either interest or expertise in particular areas related to education and workforce development, investment in advocacy, infrastructure growth, and mobilization of networks. So we'll move on from this, and I can send you, again, you can see all of this on the Participate Ulster website. And I can also answer any questions, but it's pretty self-explanatory. Those are amazing people, and the task forces did great work. And arts and culture plan, again, some of this is set up because these PowerPoints are being seen by people who don't know that much about the arts or what an arts and culture plan is, but all of you already know. So it's basically to try to leverage the network that we have, arts attractions. Ooh,
I'm sorry, this keeps flipping.
I was getting that yesterday. But anyway, an arts and culture plan has been very helpful. We can see that the arts and culture plan here in Kingston led to sort of there being a permanent role for an arts and culture director. And so it sets the stage for a lot of good things to come, hopefully including, funding, community engagement, a lot of other things. So benefits of arts and culture. All of you have probably seen this before. This is from Americans for the Arts. They have this arts and social impact explorer. You can find it on their website. Okay, we'll move forward. Now, this is actually interesting too, that the consultants looked at all of the other Ulster County activities that are taking place now. There's a plan that you can find on the Ulster County website, Ulster 2040, Building a People-Centered Economy. And they had also prioritized makers and creators, affordable spaces, and workforce development. So while it wasn't an adopted plan, it was a vision for growth that the consultants took into account when they were developing this plan, because it's a plan that already exists. Then there's an industry targeting analysis for the Ulster County Economic Development Alliance, the Ulster County Housing Action Plan, and also of importance was the New York State Education Department Blue Ribbon Commission on Graduation Measures, because the Blue Ribbon Commission also talked about the importance of arts and culture in education within the schools. So I think that will be, and I can send you a list of all of these if you want to go and take a look at them, because they're really interesting and they look at different aspects of Ulster County and its
This is on
development.
on the website.
Yeah, these are in very,
What you were just saying.
Participate Ulster? Yeah, they should probably all be on there because these are various projects that were undertaken by Ulster County. So next slide. And these are just some other things that exist. The Ulster County Main Street Toolbox, again, focusing on the arts as economic drivers. The Ashokan Rail Trail Project, again, there's a project that offers potential for public art, artist design wayfinding, and creative performances. So these are, again, options for creative engagement. iPark 87, the former IBM Kingston site, that's still in its very nascent stages, but it will be developed and there will be opportunities for artists and creative businesses to be involved. And the goal is really, I think Ulster BOCES and SUNY Ulster will have programs. If everything comes to pass, they will have programs, so it will be a workforce training facility with other things going on. The Metro building, you've probably seen it if you're driving on Greenkill, that big space being developed. It's going to be an incubator for artists and makers. So we'll see what happens with that.
It's going to be finished one of these days, right?
One of these days it will be finished.
Well, they have an executive director now.
They do.
They do have a program person,
Cool.
so
Okay,
they are on their way.
okay. Yes, so anyway, those are some of the things, those are some of the plans and projects locally that are informing what's going on and that we heard about. Actually, when we were doing town halls, people would bring them up, say, what about this? And do you be great to do something on the rail trail? And so these plans that already exist were already known by some of the people who we were talking to. So process overview. Phase 1 was the needs assessment. That was undertaken by the consultants and a lot of the research that went on. Phase 2, that was the public engagement session, and that's sort of where I was actively involved in scheduling the site tours and town halls, and that's where we really took in a lot of information. And then phase 3 is really where we are now. We're at the end of phase 3, where the vision, strategies, and implementation sort of action items are being developed. I know, it's very annoying. I had that happen to my computer the other day when I was here.
That's here.
Yes, it's connected, it's the network here,
Oh,
default network.
I'm so sorry, guys. And of course, the Zoom thing is in the way, but,
Oh, the Zoom thing is in the way.
so it's hard. Let me just come back.
Okay.
Here, keep going.
I printed, well, luckily I printed out a copy, so what I'm gonna do is just, I'm gonna just hold up some of the sheets, how about that?
This is the Kingston Tech Commission.
Yeah, right. So we went through the overall process. Okay, and this I've already mentioned, the public engagement methodology. We did, there was a public launch, we did town halls, we had sector workshops where we talked to people in the different sectors of the creative arts in Ulster County, from businesses to artists to nonprofits, interviews with key stakeholders, a survey was done, a public survey to find out how people take advantage of or do not take advantage of the art offerings in their communities. And then there were community conversations. Oh, so this is a good this is the next slide. So basically, over 1,300 people were involved in sort of giving their input. So you can move on if the computer will let you. And then also, meanwhile, going on was the comparable communities. So we looked at what was Boulder County in Colorado doing, Buncombe County, North Carolina, Tompkins County, Berkshire County, and Albany County, and these were regions that are of a similar sort of size, not major cities, but counties that may have a similar sort of rural, urban character, and seeing what, if anything, they were doing related to artists, arts organization, and creative businesses, transportation. A lot of the comparable information that we found can be found in the State of Culture report, which is huge, and it's on Participate Ulster, and it lists all the research that came out of that studies. You can move on. And then, yes, this is what I was talking about. The State of Culture report is on Participate Ulster, and it's a compendium of all the research that was done. Then we can move on. Key findings. Key findings. I'm not going to read all of this dense text, but again, you can find that both in the executive summary that I just handed to Lester, and also on the website, but there are a lot of strengths, and then there are also weaknesses that were identified. Move on. The next one is, oh, this is the fun one. Among the findings, slide 21, again, you could go on from this one, is the economic and fiscal impact. $814 million of total annual economic impact, which is 5.4% of the budget, of the income that comes into this county, 5% of the revenue, and it's based on direct impact, which is just what people are spending, in the people who are spending, jobs, things like that. Indirect impact, people going to restaurants, spending money there. There are multipliers that determine how many people attend an event, and then there's a multiplier that tells you what they're likely spending their money.
So the restaurant down the street from the Shadowland in Ellenville would be part of this.
The indirect, that's right, part of the indirect impact. Yep. And induced impact is, people might come here and stay in hotels, or they include arts and culture on a visit to Ulster County when they're maybe here visiting relatives or doing other things. And then the creative economy generates 148 million in wages also, because there are people employed by all the arts organizations, the creative businesses. It's not just the nonprofits, museums, and art centers, but the fabricators, the metal fabricators that exist in our community, all of the creative businesses, craft artists. So all of these, all of this can be pulled together, and it could also be found because New York State keeps a record of people paying income tax. So they can look and they can see taxes that are being paid, the revenue that is being generated by these businesses, and then there are analyses that are done that have resulted in this, which is so, it's a lot of money. We are a very critical part of the economy. of this county. And I think that's one of the things that we weren't sure from the outset what we were going to find, but that's a huge amount of money. So the hope is that taking this plan forward to Ulster County Legislature, this will help them understand that not only is art good for, not only is it creative and good for kids and people's mental health, but it's really part of our economy and we need to support it. So there we are. Continue. So why don't yes, we'll go into vision and priorities next, but are there any questions that you have based on what I've just run through? Richard?
These figures that you gave, the 481 million in economic impact and 148 million in wages, do you know what percent comes from Kingston?
That I do not.
Yeah, I'm curious. I have I'm going to hold up some other questions.
Okay. And I would also say that if you want more, this is just a broad brushstrokes, if you want more information, the state of culture plan goes into a lot more detail than I'm going to do here.
I have a lot of questions about the creative economy, because I think that's really interesting that makers and creators were kind of identified as part of the people-centered economy, but I'm always thinking about the necessity of arts administrators and, those that build the infrastructure. So not just a friendly environment for the people in the studio, but also those
People who
people
are making
need
it happen,
to
yes.
have their work be seen and collected and shown, et cetera, reviewed, et cetera. So, but that's kind of like, that's a bigger question, and I want to read all of this more thoroughly first. But another question I had was, in the comparison to other cities of comparable population, what struck me as a significant difference was Kingston's proximity to New York City, which is an art epicenter like no other.
Right.
And so I was wondering how that informed or adjusted, because also harnessing that energy is really, crucial for the growth, I think, of a city like Kingston. Sorry.
Yeah, I think they were focused more on, the counties itself, within the boundaries of the county. And yes, it is definitely close to New York City. And that's going to make it's going to have an impact, but I don't know if
Or
that was
like creates more
actually.
opportunities and also different kinds of challenges.
Gravitational pull.
Right, but I think they were focused more on jobs that are here, not so much the people who commute to jobs, but the jobs and the businesses that are actually housed here, that employ people here.
I was thinking more
Separate
about
from-
potential for growth, like what isn't here yet, but could be by tapping into that energy and that proximity.
Could you give us examples of what you had in mind? It'd be
Well,
really interesting.
I mean, I
Yes.
think that one of the reasons why there is such a dense population of really formidable artists in this area is because of the proximity to New York City, right? Because collectors can come visit their studios easily, because they can meet with their gallerists and the city, because also they can keep their finger on the pulse of what's happening in the global art scene. Like all of that is very, very necessary. And then also, the education centers here, it's different than I imagine it is in Colorado, right? Or North Carolina. So,
And I just want, I'm sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say, added to that, I mean, also, you have a number of institutions that you come up, use this area for cheaper,
yes, for fabrication.
Sotheby's, I think, has its warehouse here. For
Right,
example.
so many blue chip galleries, and the reasons why they're putting up these flagship places.
And we're the cheap place for a lot of artists, New York artists who.
We're done with the time, but I just wanted to.
Oh, we're done with the time, because I wanted to get, right, so anyway, I just wrote this down, again, but
I
I just have one last question.
yes.
Regarding income and percent, was there a comparison done between the other counties that you looked at? And how much income is produced in those areas, like comparison?
Yes, it's in the state of culture
Okay.
report. So. Okay, so the vision and priorities, excellent. So this, yes, and again, I'll just go very quickly.
I'm just gonna add like 5 minutes to
Still
this.
at 5 minutes, okay. So basically, the Arts and Culture Plan is going to have the name Imagine Ulster because it talks about investment, mobilization, advocacy, growth, infrastructure, networking, education. So move forward. We don't, yes, I just mentioned that, we'll go past that one, because what I want you to see are the 4 areas. These were the 4 areas of priority that were identified: investment in advocacy, mobilization of networks. All of this we heard from people, what they wanted to see. When everything was pulled together, what people really wanted to see was, a way that Ulster County could connect all the people who are already here, connecting the networks that are here, infrastructure growth. How do we develop the infrastructure, the affordable housing, all of the studios, investment in advocacy? How do we get financing for the creative sector? Education and workforce development, the support of arts education and workforce development, keep going, because my time is limited here. So the strategies that came out of all of this meetings were here: develop a comprehensive financial resource strategy, launch a targeted advocacy and education campaign, establish an equity framework for arts funding, and explore models for the creation of cultural districts and creative business zones. So the steps, when the plan is finished, you will see action items that will be underneath all of these. So what I'm going to ask for you is, and this was on the website, this is also on the Participate Ulster website. So comments, questions that you have, I will write down. Continue on to priority, here we are, priority number 2, establish an Ulster County Arts and Culture Advisory Commission. That's, again, from across the county, people who would be essentially advisors. There is not going to be a separate arts council. This would be a commission that's advisory.
Sort of like the KAC, but the UAC.
Exactly like the
Okay, that's
KAC.
one of my questions.
Yes, exactly like the KAC. The biggest thing we heard was number 2 here: create a multifunctional central platform, an arts and culture hub that could have resources and facilitate communication. Everybody wanted that. Where do we go to find out about grants? What if somebody has some, extra materials they're trying to get rid of? How do I find it? If there's affordable housing or affordable studio space, where can I find it other than going to Craigslist?
So like a knife for the county.
Yes, exactly. A resource hub. And also for visitors to come in.
Listing.
Everything.
Yeah.
So that's what people really wanted, just a place where they could go, one-stop shop.
Indeed.
And that would be funded.
Yeah, there you go.
And that would be funded. In other words,
Well, it's
you
a
said a
network.
knife, you have to, something that where there's a staff or something that does that.
That's the big.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you this, the
that's
staff,
big challenge.
the staff is the big thing, but what I will say is also, in addition to the hub, people wanted to see a position, dedicated to overseeing this. And the good news is, which the county executive has already announced, is there is going to be a director of arts, culture, and open spaces
Yeah.
that will be hired as part of the county. Exactly what that position will do is yet to be determined, but it will be within the next probably 6 weeks or 2 months. So the idea is to hire somebody who will do this.
Is it, I heard that it might be under tourism?
It will.
Okay.
There are 2 things that I can tell you, are that there will not be an arts and culture department like there is here. The person will be part of the tourism department.
Yes, that's what I do.
Yeah, so those 2 things are certain, what exactly the roles will be. But what we did hear from all of the people we talked to was they didn't want to see the efforts duplicate anything already going on. They wanted that position to be more of a facilitator. Sort of connecting everything that was already going on.
There does seem to be like an inherent contradiction in that though, right? That this is supposed to be this hub centered for the people here, right? A resource for them to, we're all here. It's that connectivity that you mentioned,
The connection.
meetings. And yet under the tourism, which presupposes that it's for people who are not.
Well, actually, I would say it's a combination of both, because already tourism is promoting the arts, but when we get to one of the next priorities, increased collaboration, communication, and coordination, again, we're going through this pretty quickly, but the other thing we heard from people is we're doing all this great stuff
Mhm.
and nobody is promoting it. So I think the reason that it's under tourism is because that's the promotion arm of activities going on in Ulster County.
So there isn't, sorry, go ahead.
My niece works for a small city in a public art position, reports to the public works director, who could care less about the arts. Tourism is good. They want
Tourism is-
investment, they want, you know, they get it. It's just
Tourism.
shorthand, so, because otherwise arts goes under Parks and Rec, you know, it's kind of, it can't be on its own because they have to maintain its staff.
Yeah, I see tourism as a promotional marketing arm. Dutchess Tourism actively supports arts in Hudson because there's something to be said positively there. My concern is that there should be a dotted line to economic development as well.
Yes, I was
Oh.
gonna say that too. Maybe
Great line.
perhaps in the, maybe in the formation of commission, it could be advice,
Yes,
We're going to talk about
Specific
economic
departments
engine, we
would
have to approach it as a revenue generator, not just a promotional marketing arm.
Right.
So the heads of
Right.
both departments should influence this person and give direction. And
Well,
as it expands, things may, it may take on a life of its own.
Oh.
I don't know that you really planned to be that way, but
Yeah, and perhaps grants management as well.
well, I would say the one thing, this other position, the one thing that needs to happen also is that there are a lot of departments within Ulster County that do fund arts programs too, like youth, like the Department of, what is it? The Department of Employment, there's the Youth Bureau, and there are other programs, social service programs that give funding to arts programs that have social service impacts. So, and economic development, and so I think this person would also be focused on bringing together all of the arts programs that are already happening and making sure, oh, yeah.
yeah, because
So-
I work in Manhattan, milieu, and all those city departments, of course, feed arts. They all
They
do
all. feed arts.
youth, education,
Exactly.
they all have lines that go towards the arts.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
our time is.
it is up,
Yeah, is up.
yeah.
So, anyway, you've sort of gotten, you can see, and in fact, you can see this on the Participate Ulster website when you look at the final, some of the final draft. And the last two things I'm gonna say, I know I'm going over, is that you should put 2 dates on your calendar, April 15th. From April 15th at 7:00 is when the full plan is gonna be presented to the Ulster County Legislature.
But we have to pay our taxes.
It's on text. How dare you?
No, not.
You can watch it, it'll be via Zoom, and it'll also be at the county office building, and then there's gonna be a public presentation held at the end of April, April 24th at 6 PM, and that's on Zoom because it's gonna be countywide. And there may be some listening sessions that different groups set up.
Can you give those 2 dates one more time?
April 15th, 7:00. Public presentation of arts and culture, April 24th, 6 PM. I'll send those to you.
And 6 P.M. is what?
6 PM for the public presentation on April 24th.
I just wanted to
So there's
mention
Ulster County and public.
one more thing was, transportation.
Oh, that was
As part of this plan, there's some consideration there, but
absolutely.
thank you, Sarah, very
Yes, I'm
much.
sorry I didn't get to that.
Oh,
But yes, transportation was definitely something that came up as being very important, and it's embedded in the strategies.
Good.
Okay,
And then so they are done with any input now, correct? This was the last chance for the KAC to give any.
they are
input.
done, the input ended as of yesterday, and 61 people had responded and sent in comments on the strategies, like the strategies are already in place, this is just, are there, is it not clear?
So I'm not sure if this has anything to do with the plan, but there's so many rumors about, since Ulster County Executive Metzger announced during her State of the County and breakfast that the county was going to put up a mural in the city of Kingston in a building next to City Hall. And public art policy isn't really here in this plan per se.
Right,
So I was kind of
That's
taken
right.
back and getting a lot of calls because anything that happens or any rumors that go about, I'm the one that gets the calls because I'm the only director around.
Right.
So, just expressing, that I have concerns about an announcement going on without, any engagement whatsoever, since it is in the city of Kingston with, myself, my division, and the Kingston Arts Commission about a mural. I'm also concerned about the notion of a mural when we already have 53 murals in the city of Kingston. It's a positive thing. So I just wanted to make that statement that, I do have the concerns that based on, the announcement made by the county executive during her address that there's a mural the county is going to put up on a building next door to City Hall. I'm hoping that there will be some kind of engagement with the Arts and Cultural Affairs Department and the Kingston Arts Commission.
And I hope there will too. And when you had expressed that to me earlier, Kit, I sent that information to Peter Griswold, who's the chair of the legislature, so he could share that with the county executive. Because again, she may not know that there is a public art policy because it's fairly new in the city, but now she has been informed that there is one. So hopefully.
Well,
she
we
can touch.
don't control private, nor do we control county-owned or state-owned structures for that.
But hopefully she would come to you for some input and engagement. Go ahead, Maggie.
No, they're not.
But murals,
Right,
a
exactly.
lot of people love them here, and a lot of people are just overwhelmed. And again, I'm the one getting these.
I have a question.
Now, it's not my project.
I think what Kit brought up, it underscores a question I had. What is the relationship going to be between the Ulster County Department and the Kingston Department? I mean, this is there going to be an established, not just a, not just a one instance?
I would say all of this is to be determined because Kingston has to have a relationship, the Ulster County person, the new position, has to have a relationship with all the municipalities because we have home rule in this state. And so whatever is being done in Ellenville or Woodstock or Kingston, presumably that person is going to need to interface with all these different communities.
Yes, but we have a commission, and I don't think.
And
the
Socrates
other-
has.
They have it, okay.
Yeah, so there are commissions and groups working in
So
other
that
communities.
would be part of the hub.
That would be part of the connecting,
Cultural
that's
hub.
right.
Right, great. Thank you so
So
much. Sarah.
anyway, there's a lot still to be determined, but a
Yes.
lot has been done, so
Thank you
we're
very
moving
much.
forward.
Yay.
Thank you, Sylvia.
Congratulations on all that. It's just.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, sorry for pushing us along here, but we have a lot
No,
to talk
you're
about. Thank you. So, old business, I just want to mention that's not on the agenda right now. I have one question. That we are forming a subcommittee, for Creative Arts Business Alliance, by having a meeting, with the Woman in Oregon, the group that Ward connected us with. And so we're trying to get a date, for a lunchtime Zoom, for that to happen. So that we'll have hopefully some findings for the next meeting. I had one question about the public survey that's on Engage Kingston. Is there a deadline on that? Okay. So we're gonna go back to Public Art Committee and next steps.
Next steps, we did talk about that during my report.
Right,
And
whatever we had
just to
taken.
clarify, I think that the next step should be that when we go into executive session to recommend the strongest appointees to the inaugural voting members from the community. We then would need the input from the KAC with those members, and I think it's only fair, and this has been brought up before, that the new members weigh in on the procedure moving forward. So,
Okay,
executive session.
okay. I just had a brief thing about the Distinguished Artist Award. I spoke with Matthew Sleva he's our current Distinguished Artist for the newbies in the group. And he was presented with the award last year, and he's going to have a retrospective at the Cornell Creative Arts Gallery in October. I asked him if he wanted to be a guest to meet with the commission, either March or April, whichever was appropriate, just to briefly talk about his plans. We don't have any more funding for that program currently, but that's another discussion for another day. But we can perhaps offer, and the city can offer promotion and marketing
May I
assistance.
just suggest that
So,
a subcommittee is formed as soon as possible to start looking into a lot of the things, because this award has been ever changing. Every time we do an award, it changes again. So the last time that we did have a discussion on this, it was stated that a subcommittee should be formed that really works on this and wants it in. And then we'll get into funding and policy,
Yeah.
next.
Okay, I had codified quite a bit of it last year, kind of silhouette, but I think if anyone's interested in.
I'll bring up something.
I'm sorry?
I've got some things.
Okay, to,
The grants manager, had suggested some things, Ward Vincent suggested some things about this award. So.
right.
I think that we need a committee to really work on some nitty gritties about that before we can talk about funding for it.
Yes,
And then just
I was
make it
just-
permanent.
I'm just gonna say, that if anyone is interested in joining that subcommittee, you could talk to me, because I'm currently the chair of that committee. And I would gladly, happy to coordinate a meeting to get that going. Okay, next is ground floor gallery lighting update.
This is, when I came on board and I asked my predecessor about this ground floor gallery lighting piece, she said, this has been a thorn in my side. Now it's two thorns in mine. We have a wiring issue in this building. A couple of months ago, I don't know if anybody noticed, but downstairs gallery was, the ground floor was very dark because two of the lamps went out. They fixed the wiring again. This is a constant need to fix. But picking up, obstacles remain beyond the wiring. There's brick directly behind the plastered walls. Vice Chair Mintz had, sent over someone from Reher who looked at that, and that was the one thing that she said is a problem. You've got one outlet in the whole hallway. So, Grants Director Ruth Ann has joined into this. And we are both, with engineering, working on how we can identify funding to support, but first we have to examine the feasibility of this. So city engineer John Schultes advises that if we got with surface amount and are able to feed the circuits from existing fixtures, it may not be very difficult. We don't have a city electrician yet. This is what happened after Reher came to see me last year. So hopefully we'll have a city electrician soon. And once that person is on, we could work on more detailed estimates. Ruth Ann is, advised that there's a couple of companies that wouldn't mind coming over and helping us look out. There's Uncle, there's a few others. But engineering estimates that this might be in the $10,000 to $20,000 range.
Gee. That is.
That's what I said too. It's not heavy. But it would have to be compatible, and then we'd have to go back to the preservation authorities to make sure, but they already talked to Addie and Elisa Tinty when Addie was here, and they went through it all, and they approved a lighting system. So we have to give them the details at this point. So hopefully once.
I'm just curious if there is any talk of capital improvements for this building in an overarching sense around the wiring issue, that maybe they could tie in
Okay,
the
so
gallery lighting.
I will get with that when I make the announcement of the new ACA strategy and funding committee, because that is on one of our items for the mayor.
Right, but has he been talking about
No.
with Ruth Ann a capital
No,
improvement plan?
That's why we're going to meet them
I
tomorrow.
raised it in a simple email.
Okay.
Building improvements are capital, it's not a departmental thing. I don't understand why.
Right. So we're bringing that up in our, we're having bi-monthly meetings. I didn't want to jump into this, but I might as well. Bi-monthly meetings, there is a committee that formed last year when it was noted that I would not have as much funding from our funder, our annual funder, as we all anticipated when the generous donor who started this division, my division, donated for that salary back then. And it was assumed that my current funder would just go ahead and fund the whole thing. That was up to the mayor's discretion. So we are now looking into developing a funding strategy. I will go into that soon. But with that, this goes in there. That question comes up. What is the city's responsibility with this? And what can the city just feed into its current budget so that the city can take a chunk of this budget? But again, grants director is saying that, we should be able to get a firm to work with us, re-estimate, electrician once hired can check the, circuit's capacity. Given the current ceiling lamps were originally incandescent and now LED, there may be at least some excess capacity available for the gallery lighting.
So smart.
I just want to guarantee you that I've never left this. I know I have not reported for months, we didn't have an electrician. And of course, as this is not my specialty area and Ruth Ann, the grant director, is now working with us on a grant management plan, a grant funding plan. This is part of one of the concept papers that I started with. Can we look at this together? And John Schultes in the engineering department. So I just hope this will be something that we'll see some kind of closure in.
Maybe a light at the end of the tunnel.
You've got the finest part, probably on the East Coast. You know, you've got Carmen Lizardo showing downstairs. You've got all these fine artists. It's a disservice to them to, so if we can't figure this out, then we shouldn't have exhibitions at all, because this is a very poorly lit gallery.
What's the mayor's point of view on it?
We're gonna see tomorrow. I'll get to that meeting next. Okay,
Great. Well, that's all the old business, unless anyone has anything currently on the agenda or mentioned. Okay, so we'll move into new business.
yes, I'm just gonna pass this out. I was made to sign all kinds of forms and formulas and everything. The city has an ethics code. So, some commissions, it was, mandatory that the commissions sign the ethics code forms and promissaries and what kind of.
What's happening? It's arcane, it's just anarchy, it's just chaos. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do we have to sign what you said?
I'm trying to say, this commission does not have to sign any forms, but what I was told by Sue Cahill is a good idea if you knew what I was going to do. Okay, so passing this out so that the commission is aware of what other commissions are bound to, this one not, but the director is. So weekend reading,
Why are we not bound?
We're volunteers.
So why can't we raise money?
I'll get to that. in a second.
Okay. Question for Mark. Okay, I'm sorry.
We're working on it. Strategy and funding, the other one.
Yes, please.
Okay, so I want to thank, last year when I brought this up, some people raised their hands and a new one came forward. So the strategy and funding subcommittee comprises, Secretary DJ, Richard Fromis, Lisa Kelly, Director of Grants Management, Ruth Ann, with the mayor. So we have had our first meeting, tomorrow is our second. And there's a body of areas that we are looking at. Before we can ask anything, we have to straighten out some things. We have some challenges, we have obstacles, we have concerns. Barbara Grace Pollard gave us all one of her concerns in her advisory. Did everybody get that? The corporation councils,
You handed it out. 2
Yeah.
meetings ago.
so
I don't.
You were.
for new members, I will hand it up, make sure the new members got it. There's workarounds. One thing I love about, our corporation council is that she just doesn't put up blocks. She says, these are my concerns. However, she's about solutions. So we're going to have to meet with her to find out where these gray areas are. We also have fundraising questions, major donors. One of my questions is, how is it that a major donor was able to give a major donation to start up the Arts and Cultural Affairs Division? But we have blocks going up about anyone else. So we have to find a way forward to that. That was indicated in Barbara Grace Pollard's missive, but again, there's workarounds. This is what this committee is going to be working on with the mayor, with Ruth Ann, with Barbara. When they look at business sponsorships, we now have a line item for business sponsorships. So now there is the need for this committee to work on that package. What does that look like? What are the perks that we would offer businesses? So before we go and, get the, workarounds with Barbara Grace Collar's, concerns, we also have to work on the packet itself and the perks, the benefits. What are the benefits? And then, the committee will also be working on the case for support for the Arts and Council Affairs directors. Director and department, the case for support, that impactful case for support. Can't be just burning of Kingston and music in the parks. We've got to go strong. We come forward to the Common Council. We come forward to, major donors. We have to let them know why and how impactful this is. I can do it, but I need the KAC to help, and I also need this committee to help solidify this. So everything that's coming out of this committee, we will present to the Kingston Arts Commission. And we have, for Ruth Ann, grants concept paper listing. She's given us a template per item. So we've given her one, ground floor gallery lighting. We know Ruth Ann. Ruth Ann is amazing. She's working on it. Budgetary support for the Arts and Cultural Affairs Department. The registrar for the inventory assessment and condition of the municipal art collection. The conservator to the work progress administration collection is in really bad shape. Ruth Ann can see that there's grants out there available. So it's about giving her this concept paper and letting her go to work. We also, the Distinguished Artist Award. Now, the conversations that's been going around and around for the last since I've been here. When I first got here, there was a requirement and very little money was in that pool for them to do public art project. We have a public art policy now. Ruth Ann said there are grants for this. So do you really want to just leave it, or do you want to come back to that now? That there may be grant funding for this recognition and actually allow the Matupletas and the Jaguar Marys and the Peter Wetzlers to work on something, but give them some money. Okay, so Ruth Ann last year told me that she identified a possible. So let's keep that on her grants listing. We have other public art projects now that we have a policy. And then, of course, the programs, the exhibitions, the music series. We have a lot, but we need more. We look at other small cities and what they're doing. I think this department can be doing a whole lot more. That I know that Radio Kingston looks at us sometimes and says this is all a monster because they are so busy, because there's so much going on in this little town that they do all the sound for everybody. But above and beyond, we can go. We own the stadium, so we can go bigger. We don't have to do little concerts. We can do a major one. So I'd like to think bigger, broader, and more impact. Now that we have a county master plan. I'd like to figure out what it is that this office does and into its future, that somebody with a big check will say, well, the question is, who cares, that you're doing whatever, and we need to collect the data, the impactful data, and, with the services that I'm providing to a lot of organizations. We took it down from the website because I was overwhelmed with the requests for grant reviews, grant application reviews and what have you. I was up until midnight the first year, helping so many people. So the mayor said, just take it off the website. It's, but that is still, it's on my job description. So this is what I do, but let's hone it in. One person, are we going to grow this? Let's grow it properly. Ward has always been, and I go back and forth to Asheville all the time. We have models in other cities that are very successful. Asheville didn't just jump up and say, we're going to do this. It took Asheville 20 years. They started with one thought, but it took them 20 years to be where they are now. So I'd like to take those baby steps too, but with strategy. And that's it. I'll leave it.
Great, fantastic. Okay.
We'll report back next, from the meeting tomorrow with the mayor, we will have a report, at the next meeting.
Right. Arts and Hudson County Executive Awards, 2025 awardees.
I can't report on them because it's just one person that, we haven't been able to get yet.
Oh, okay.
So I was hoping that we would have notified all so that I could, announce the Arts Mid Hudson Awards for Ulster County, but I got a call from Lucy today saying, don't announce it yet because we still have one more that we haven't contacted. And
Are you on the panel for
Yes.
the awards? I see.
That's a
You
June.
couldn't figure out what.
that's, yes.
Different place.
Okay.
All right, so that is the end of the agenda. Now we can move into executive session. If I have a motion,
So moved.
second. All in favor? All right.
Hold on.